Welcome to UCF Knightline, your source for UCF sports and former player information.
Hello, Night Nation. This is Andrew Phegley coming to you from the 1148 studios, and next to me here is
Trylko. Hello, Night Nation.
All right, this is episode number 35. 35. It is a little bit of a milestone. I say that every time.
I think just getting through another one
of these
is a milestone.
Every single one of these is a milestone. But 35, it ends with a 5.
Yeah.
A 5 and a 0. Those are all milestones. So we're gonna talk to Rashard Causey today. We're gonna talk to Siaha Burley. We're gonna talk to Kasey Wilson. We're gonna talk to Jordan Akins. We're gonna talk to Mark King,
and maybe talk to each other a little bit about it.
So
as we go through this.
We got a lot of stuff.
Spring practice began last week, and boy, I made it out. You made it out one day, and it was nice to see some football action in the Florida version of spring. It was in the 80s.
Yeah, it was hot. It was like July out there. I think I was out there on Tuesday or Wednesday. It was the opening
You went to the
day,
first
one that was.
Yeah, I picked up the Saturday practice where they were wearing pads.
Yeah, and, I'm kind of bummed that I didn't get to see them wearing pads, but it's good in another way that I got to see what they look like without pads on. So just as far as seeing stature and what a guy looks like without pads. My biggest observation, to be honest with you, from that number 27, Taj McGowan, was extremely, extremely fluid running the ball and exciting. I'm very excited about him.
And it was interesting, head coach George O'Leary making some comments to the Orlando Sentinel in his media availability, talking about that he's not going to deal so well this coming season with nagging injuries and people that are not out on the field. I don't know who he was alluding to, but it seemed like he was excited about Taj McGowan.
I will say that one of our guys, and I'm not going to say who, does have a nagging injury, and it's going to be a problem this year.
That's because we can't talk in depth about what we saw at spring practice.
But somebody last year that had a nagging injury, I believe, still has a nagging injury.
Yeah, that's not going to be good.
No, it's not going to be good at all. So Taj McGowan really has a shot here, I think.
That's an opportunity. Several guys have opportunities. Some new faces.
Did I say too much, do you think?
No, I don't think so. I think that's been all published and all such out there.
So, besides that, the receivers, looked pretty good for the most part. I did see Justin Holman after practice having to do some burpees for some reason. I'm not sure why, but he was doing them when nobody else was out on the field. With a couple coaches. So I don't know if he was in some trouble or what that was about.
He likes doing them. You do them all the time, don't you?
Yeah, he was, I don't know. He was doing some out there alone. So
I saw a former quarterback catching a few passes.
Yeah. He looked pretty decent. I actually read on one of Brandon Hellwig's posts today that he saw him make kind of a one-handed thing and then get totally plowed by whoever the defensive player was. And he said, I cannot remember. I'm sorry. One of the newer linebackers, I believe, totally just must have lit him up.
And that quarterback now catching passes was last year's starter in Ireland against Penn State.
Well, that's what happens when you come out and play like that. Pete DeNovo. Yeah. Yep,
the answer to a trivia question one day. Who played a game before Justin Holman came on the scene?
Whose only start came in Dublin, Ireland.
Who never started a UCF game, perhaps.
In the United
as quarterback.
Who? This is it right here. What quarterback never started a game for the UCF Knights on U.S. soil?
Yeah, that'll probably be the answer to the trivia question.
That's it.
But may have an opportunity to start a game for UCF at wide receiver.
Yeah, possible.
And speaking of wide receivers, you had an opportunity after the first practice to speak with Jordan Akins.
With the experience last year that you had, what's in store for you this year?
Converting to wide receiver, getting more touches outside, getting back used to the outside life instead of going in and, banging with the hard bodies and just routes, basically, and coordination.
So you did a little bit more H-back stuff last year and tight end stuff, right? So you're looking forward to getting, out there a little bit more and getting the ball a little bit more, right? How did the experience from last year help as far as like the kick returns and stuff like that you did?
It put me up with the game speed. Definitely, getting back used to the cuts and, the certain routes and, eye-hand coordination.
A lot of guys that moved on this year. You're still here, and there's a couple other guys. Who's going to really step up?
I think all of us have to step up, really. Justin Holman, T.O., myself, running backs, and O-line, hopefully a little help from the freshmen coming in.
By the way, that guy on the golf cart almost hit me.
That's not good.
Yeah, I kind of had to. I jumped over the golf cart, but still kept the microphone.
That's
close
professionalism
to
right there.
I mean, it was like the Matrix all over again. I wasn't dodging.
Did he try to save you at all?
I wasn't dodging bullets. I was dodging golf carts. No,
you don't move like they do in the Matrix.
Just
either.
kidding. But anyway, so UCF Pro Day is coming up. And there's a couple of guys that are in town that were spotted at UCF practice this week.
Yeah, out at practice on Saturday. I saw Alexander, Terrence Plummer, a couple of guys out there.
And Pro Day, I believe, is coming up this week, later in the week.
And
I believe it's Thursday, but we're not sure on that.
We talked a couple of weeks ago when the Combine was going on about some guys that we hoped would do better than they did. And I remember saying to you, but they're going to have their chance at Pro Day. Now, a different audience, certainly, than they would have at the Combine. This is that second chance for somebody that might not have done as well as they'd hoped.
Yeah, Perryman really has to show up in this thing. If he's injured again and can't show up and do stuff here, I think that's really going to hurt him. I get the Google alerts that we've been talking about, and I've gotten tons of them on Perryman this week. And, people are talking about him. People are ready to see what he can do. He needs to prove himself. I think one person really talked today about an article that I was reading that he had a ton of drops last year, and he did. So he needs to correct that. This was a plus and a minus thing of him.
I think even on Pro Day or the Combine, the people that are the teams that are supportive of him are likely to continue to be in that camp, and somebody that doesn't feel he fits into their scheme or what they need is not going to be so interested. I still think he's going to show up well on NFL Draft coming up at the end of April.
Yeah, well, we shall see. I'm looking forward to it, to see what happens.
We've been talking a great deal about the 2015 class that's coming in. We've talked to a number of these guys, Bo Schneider and the last few weeks. UCF has a commitment already for the 2016 class. Sandalwood High out of the Jacksonville area, wide receiver Philip Banker, quoted as saying that he's giving UCF the verbal commitment, which doesn't mean anything until it's faxed in one day. But still positive. Listen to his quote on Jacksonville.com. Coach O'Leary is doing great things with the program, and I can come in immediately and make an impact, Banker said. They were overall a better fit than some other schools because I fit in there. I feel comfortable, like I was at home. The coaching staff is great, passionate about getting players where they need to be the best they can be. That's huge. UCF in this article is mentioned as having done well in the Jacksonville area, as we know, recently inking First Coast Tristan Payton in the class of 2015. Banker, 6'1", 185, so maybe he will be a future Knight.
Yeah, we'll have to see about that, too. There's all kinds of stuff we have to kind of see
What
about.
episode of the podcast will we be on before Philip Banker
suits
suits up for the Knights?
It could be a while.
Yeah.
All right, so speaking of wide receivers, you talked to another wide receiver this week, and this guy was Dante Culpepper's favorite target when he was at UCF. He had spent some time with the Dolphins, the Seattle Seahawks, and he also played a year with the XFL, Orlando Rage. I wish that league was still around. I really kind of miss that. I was bummed. I'm a Vince McMahon fan, and I wished that would have, they needed to put a little bit more wrestling in the middle, like kind of like hockey.
Wrestling into football.
Kind of like hockey. They should let the fights break out on the field, and like John Cena could come in and break it up, and Randy Orton, all those guys. Anyway, that's a totally different story. But you talked to Siaha Burley this week, and he is now the offensive coordinator for the Orlando Predators.
We're at Orlando Predators practice with former UCF wide receiver Siaha Burley, current offensive coordinator for the Predators. Siaha, thanks for joining us on the UCF Knightline podcast. Talk a little bit about your time with UCF. It's a little while ago now, but you were in a very important era for UCF with Dante Culpepper and a transition in the UCF football program.
Definitely, it was a time where we were moving up to Division I. I think it was second year Division I when I got here. So we made a splash at that time with Dante. We had one of the nation's top offenses and really made some noise for the school. And since then, the school's been able to carry on a tradition with some of the greater teams and doing some big things, beating some SEC schools, and really moving into some high-powered conferences and whatnot. So really excited about where the school has gone and where it's going in the future.
Talk a little bit about that time with Dante Culpepper. You were his top receiver. You two had a chemistry for a couple of seasons.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we broke some records as far as completion percentage at that time, and really gave some major teams at the time some scares as far as like the Nebraskas back then when Tom Osborne was there and whatnot. So really great time when Dante was here, putting the school on the map, getting a lot of recognition. Of course, he was a first-round draft pick. So we did some great things at that time when we were playing. But and since then, a lot of new quarterbacks have come through and good receivers, and it's kind of been a tradition to really have a lot of positive and powerful passing attacks come through over the years.
Talk about that time when you chose UCF. What else were you considering? How did the Knights get on your radar? What made you be UCF Knight?
I was on the West Coast, so I didn't know much about UCF. I had family out here. My grandfather's in the Orlando area, so he really put me on to UCF as far as recruiting. He sent some letters and made some contacts with Gene McDowell at the time. He knew some bankers and whatnot, and that's how I kind of brought it to my attention. And I ended up seeing some film from one of my other players with the junior college that had a friend at William & Mary. And once I saw Dante playing, I saw the system and how open the receiver position was here with 4 and 5 wides. I knew it was a great opportunity for me to come out here and finish my career.
Did you think that they would become what they are now in terms of a college football program back when you were suiting up?
I did. I had high expectations being demographics. It's in Florida. You look at Florida State, Miami, the South in general. It's been nothing but great football, great talent out here in the South. So I really was hoping that it would grow to be something, this big. Took a little longer than I thought as far as, getting into a major conference and whatnot because we were independent back then. So it took a little while to get the respect that I think we deserved, but I'm glad it came at some point.
And what do you think of the program now, where it's at?
I think it's great. I think it's very exciting. It's good football. We're competitive every year. We just went to a bowl game, the Fiesta Bowl. That was great for the program, and had a good showing. So definitely excited. I only want the best for us, so I really want us to be a powerhouse and get that top 3-5 ranking or whatnot. I want to see us get to that type of caliber, and I think we can at some point.
Talk about your time in arena football. You went on to a very successful career in the Arena League. Talk a little bit about that.
Actually, started here in Orlando, so this is kind of full circle for me. Started here. Jay Gruden recruited me here after the UCF days. Played here a couple of years, bounced around, found a niche in the game because of my size and quickness, and was Player of the Year a couple of years. And loved the game so much, I ended up wanting to get back into coaching. And sure enough, it's kind of full circle for me to come back here and coach and help rebuild this program to where it started back in the days of 90s and 2000s where they were, going to the Arena Bowl every 2 or 3 years. So definitely excited for the opportunity, and it feels like it's full circle.
What's the transition like from player to coach, and now you're offensive coordinator? Describe that.
It's a different mindset. I mean, as a player, you're physically, you can do some things. Here, it's all about letting players do things for you. It's really psychological here influence more so than the physical. It all feeds the same system. You're competitive as a player, you're competitive as a coach, and that's what it's done for me. It's allowed me to continue that competitive spirit in myself and compete, and do what I do best, which is, have a football mind. So I love it. It's a way to continue on, the same type of emotions and feelings that you have as a player, as a coach.
Second year as a coach with the Predators, you're transitioning from playing out at the CFE Arena on the UCF campus back downtown into the Amway Arena. How does this year's team look?
Very excited about the team's caliber of talent. I can't explain enough how excited I am about the team we have. Last time I had a team with this type of talent, we went 18-2 in Arizona. So I haven't been around this talent in a few years, and this type of coaching as well. So I tell you what, sky is the limit for this team. Definitely way more talent than last year, and you saw what we did last year. So we're looking to be in the mix.
Folks may be surprised to know that you practice outdoors here at Thunder Field adjacent to the Citrus Bowl. They think it's an indoor game. Talk a little bit about that. How often do you get to practice indoors versus the outdoors?
We really don't get a chance to get into the stadium or the arena too often, maybe before the game, the day before or whatnot. So we're out here with the elements, and it makes it tougher because it's hot, and it's all, good for the mind, good for the mental psyche to play in the heat and sweat and have to tough it out for the players. So, we embrace it. But indoors, also a little more wear and tear on the knees and the joints, so we don't really want the players playing on a hard surface all the time anyway.
And for folks who have not had an opportunity to catch the Predators indoors, sell them on it. Why is it a fun night?
I like the slogan, it's a party and the game breaks out, you know what I mean? So it's very exciting. There's no time to sit down and rest. We're scoring probably every 3 to 5 plays is a touchdown. If you blink, you'll miss something. It's not traditional football where you got to sit there and watch a running game. We throw the ball 95% of the time. The ball's in the air. Big plays are being made. Players are falling into the stands, going over boards, diving. It's just a fast-paced game. The play clock is shorter, so the action continues nonstop with quickness. And the game is built, I guess, to stay close. So you're not going to get into many blowouts where it's nothing to watch, or you're leaving 10 minutes before the game's over. It's always going to be down to the wire because of the field being short. You can score in one play.
Better to be the offensive coordinator than the defensive-minded guy in arena football?
Well, I don't know. It just depends how you look at it. Is the cup half empty or half full? I mean, people feel like it's easy to score, so then the pressure's on the offense where you got to score every time. The minute you don't, something's wrong. So, or defensively, it's hard to stop people. So it just depends on how you see it.
You're at a good spot with coaching. What do you see in your future? What other opportunities would you like to pursue one day in the coaching arena?
Definitely want to either, be a head coach of an arena team or maybe get into position coaching into college at some point. But I have a blast what I do right now as an OC, so I'm not in a hurry, so to speak. I embrace every year to continue to get better and grow. And at that time, when I'm ready to step up or the opportunity comes, I'll be ready for either one of those type of situations.
All right. Thank you, Siaha Burley, for joining us.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Predators moving back to the Amway Arena after a year at the CFE Arena on the UCF campus. The Predators open up against the Philadelphia Soul Sunday, March 29th, 7 p.m. Siaha Burley, former Knight, leading the offense.
So a little bit of NFL news here. A.J. Boye, who, of course, was a former Knight, had some shoulder surgery this week, kind of a nagging injury that he needed to get taken care of, and I guess now is the best time to do that in the off season. So also a little bit of news, J.J. Wharton. I saw some stuff on Facebook that he had the other day. It was him running and doing some exercises, and the knee looks great. So he's going to have a chance on this pro day as well.
Did he do what A.J. did with his Instagram by posting a photo of his shoulder? This is what he posted.
I think he posted that photo during his surgery, right? A.J. Boye did.
Yeah, there's just one photo here. I'm not willing to skip ahead to see if there are any additional surgery.
Is it actually the incision
Yes,
made?
It shows the incision.
Really?
That's what he posted on his Instagram.
Well, he was the first NFL player to live Instagram during surgery.
This is an after picture.
That'd be kind of cool, though.
No.
Look here what they're doing to my knee. Anyway.
He posted this on Flashback Friday on Instagram.
Okay, well. All right, speaking of, not really speaking of surgery, but we are going to be talking to Rashard Causey coming up. I'm looking forward to that, and he's a heck of a dude. I'm excited for him to come, and you guys should hopefully be excited to hear this interview that we got going on. So, you know what they say, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. We don't need to know about your fun-filled weekend in the City of Sin, but we hope you'll click the ad on our website. It's right there to the left, the one that screams you have to save up to 50% off your next trip to Vegas. Just click on the ad and we promise never to talk about what happened in Vegas.
What's up, Knight fans? This is Jeff Sharon from Sports Talk Florida, and you're listening to the Knightline podcast.
All right, joining us on the phone now is Rashard Causey. He is a cornerback. He is 6 foot, 190 pounds, runs a 4.40 from Fort Lauderdale, and went to St. Thomas Aquinas High School. Welcome to the Knightline podcast. Welcome to Knight Nation. We are very excited to have you joining UCF. What was it about UCF? You had a lot of offers. I'm looking at your list here on Rivals, and it's very, very impressive. I don't know of a Division I school that is relevant that didn't offer you. How did you choose UCF?
Well, I choose UCF because of the opportunity that was presented to me. The whole secondary has gone. It's pretty much the coach was like, it's a fair playing field right now, so anybody just competing for a spot, and that was exactly what I was looking for. I wanted to stay in Florida, be close to home, and I just wanted to play early, and UCF was a good school so I can reach my personal goals.
Yeah, so playing early is definitely a thing that enticed you to come to UCF.
Yes.
Who was your main recruiter?
Coach Travis Fisher and Coach Mike Buscemi.
They kind of added Travis Fisher a little bit late into the recruiting season. How big of a impact was him recruiting you? Because he's a guy that has been very successful in the NFL and all that.
Yeah, him being my actual position coach made it everything. We built a great relationship over the past couple of weeks that we were together for a little bit. And I just felt the vibe that was right. And I just trusted my gut, and I just went with it. I took the visit, and when I got home, I actually thought about it and sat down with my parents and see what I was going to do. I came out with UCF.
How many other official visits did you take to other schools?
I took 2 other.
And where were those?
Wisconsin and FAU.
So Wisconsin was a little ways away, but FAU is pretty much right there.
So, you were linked early and often to FAU. What was it about FAU that interested you in the beginning?
My past head coach, he was there, and I always wanted to be coached by him. And I said, why not? Why can't we get on a college level? That was one of my big decisions I had made earlier.
And for Knights fans that don't know a great deal about you, but will soon know a great deal about you, describe your style of play.
I'm physical. I'm a physical cornerback. I'm not afraid to make some tackles, and I'm pretty much a competitor. On the field, I'm a different person than I am off the field.
And you're used to being a winner. In your bio, it reads that you started your high school career where you captured the 2012 FHS AA 3A state title. You come back in 2014, you win the 7A state championship. That team gave up 20 points in 5 games in the playoffs. Talk about the magic of that season and what it's like to be a winning high school football player.
The first one was unbelievable because we was the first team ever in history to win a state for that school. And for me to go to another school in a matter of a year and win another state was crazy. And the playoffs only allow, how many, I think 20 points?
20 points it says in your bio. That's pretty good in 5 games.
Yeah, our defense was sick. We had too much talent on defense, to be honest.
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah, because our D-line, we pretty much get all the credit to our D-line. Our D-line was unbelievable. And as a cornerback, you have a good D-line, a lot of balls going to be just thrown out there. And those are opportunities that you should have to go get.
Yeah, how important was it for you to play for a defensive-minded coach like Coach O'Leary? He's kind of a famous guy, and obviously you've got to see UCF a little bit, being a Florida guy. How important was it for you to play for George O'Leary?
It was very important because him being a defensive guy is like in my favor because he'll always be with us. Not always be with us, but like most of the time he's interested in defense. So that gives us his attention a little bit more than the offense. Defense wins games, so that's all we need.
So you said earlier that there was the opportunity at playing time as soon as you got here was a big key in choosing UCF. And, you follow in a long line of players that have gone on to play Sundays in professional football in the NFL. What do you think your prospects are as a freshman coming in, opportunity to start on the UCF defense?
It pretty much is all on me, to be honest. I've been playing at a high level of football my whole life, and I really don't think that going to the next level, it may be a little bit of a challenge, but once you get used to the game of speed and you understand what you're doing, it'll slow down and you'll go back to dominating. That's how I feel about it. And all the players I've been playing with in high school, they're balling in college, and I say, why not me?
Have you got to watch UCF quite a bit in the last couple seasons?
I watched a couple games because I'm really good friends with Rennell Hall. He's a family friend of mine, and I used to watch the games just like scout out for him and stuff.
Yeah, we had him on not too long ago, and he's hopefully going to make quite a name for himself in the NFL. I believe if somebody gives him a chance, he will do that for sure. We really
no doubt. Yeah, no doubt. He's going to make his impact in the NFL, no doubt.
Yeah, we love that guy. So he will once a night, always a night, So we're excited for him. Hopefully that happens.
With some 24 schools going after you, what's that like to be a high school kid so widely sought after? Is it stressful? Is it fun? Is it hard to juggle all of the different letters you're getting in? Describe that process, because most of our listeners have never experienced what you experienced in that way.
It's a little bit of everything because you have that limelight on you all the time, and if you don't play to your expectations, people talk about you, and you don't want them to talk bad about you. So every Friday, go out and ball, so you give them something to talk about. It just keeps you on your toes pretty much. You always got to play good. You got to be a leader on the field since you have that spotlight on you.
I'm a little bit interested because going down this list is very important to me because there's Florida State, there's Miami, there's Mississippi State, Notre Dame, South Carolina, TCU. All these places offered you, and all those teams are Power 5 teams, and we always hear about Power 5 and how we can't get guys that are recruited by those schools and how important it is to be Power 5 and UCF's not Power 5. Explain making a decision over those schools. I mean, you said a little bit about being close. Help us understand. I mean, did that really matter to you that UCF was not a Power 5 school?
It really didn't because the NFL doesn't discriminate on which school you go to as long as you produce. And that's my main goal. That's my main purpose goal, to reach my personal goal into the NFL and have a successful career in the NFL. I wanted to achieve those goals as quickly as possible. I didn't really think about the name of the school because I got past that, meaning going to a big school because of the name. Because once you get there, that plays out. You're like, all right, I'm here now. Now what?
When you visited UCF and your family came here, what were your reactions to the campus, to the reception you received when you visited UCF?
It was actually shocking. I didn't know UCF looked like that. That was my first time there. And I know a lot of friends that go to UCF, and me being around that environment and just being comfortable there, I felt it was the right choice.
You talked earlier about Rennell Hall being a family friend. Did he, influence you a little bit? Did he put in a good word for UCF in talking with you and your family?
Yeah, he actually did. That following week after I came back.
If you had one thing to tell Knight Nation that you could tell them right now because they're listening, what would it be about Rashard Causey and what he's going to do at UCF?
To be honest, I'm just ready to make a big impact in the school and become one of those names of the Rennell Hall or the Brandon Marshall school. And I want to leave a legacy at that school of me so I can come back to school and be like, I did that.
What comes next for you? You graduate. When do you get to UCF? And have you decided on what you want to major in at UCF?
I'll graduate May 17th, and I'll be at UCF sometime early June. I'm not sure what I want to major in yet. I haven't thought that far yet.
Growing up in Miami, are you a Dolphins fan?
Yes.
Who's your favorite player in the NFL?
Darrelle Revis.
That's a good guy. Do you kind of model your game after him?
Yes, actually. Like, the way he plays, he's really aggressive with the receiver all the way down the field, and no one throws to his side. And I felt like that my senior year. I didn't get that many balls thrown my way just my past football season. So I feel like I got the respect that I wanted. Now I got to go get it in the college level.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. We look forward to having you here at UCF.
All right, thank you.
So you travel a lot for work and fun. Have you ever thought about having just a little bit more insurance? TravelX gives you the peace of mind so you can take care of your family and loved ones. Click the link on our webpage. I'm just saying, accidents happen.
This is Quincy McDuffie, and you're listening to UCF Knightline.
All right, thank you, Quincy. Another UCF alumni thing that we need to talk about here is Kyle Israel's team, the Warclaw Panthers in Poland, beat the Brystock Lowlanders.
You got to work on your
Which
Polish.
is another, yeah.
You're butchering this.
Yeah, I'm butchering it. But it's another Polish team, 49-0. So I'd love to see the stats on there, but they're in Polish, so I haven't been able to really see it.
And Kyle Israel joined us on the Knightline podcast before he went off to play over there in Europe. But if you speak Polish and can help us translate Kyle Israel's statistics, shoot us a message on Facebook where we've got that nifty graphic from that game that Kyle just was behind there, 49-0.
Yeah, we need a Polish translationist.
That would be quite the advancement.
Is that a
Coming
word?
soon on episode 36, Polish translations.
We could translate in like 35 different languages.
Or not.
Actually, last month we were listened to in 25 or more countries, which
That's cool.
That is pretty exciting.
Was
so.
Poland one of them?
Absolutely, it was one of the higher ones. Actually,
We've got a big...
so now we're gonna. I probably pissed the people in Poland off with this one. Please forgive
That
me.
wouldn't upset them.
Please forgive me, the Polish people of Poland.
No, that's cool, though, that so many different countries
Absolutely.
are
Russia,
tuning
we've
in.
got quite a few listeners. I'm assuming that those are people that Kyle Israel knows. I don't know. In fact, if you're listening to this and you're one of those people that listens to us in another country, shoot us an email, leave us a message. You can call my phone, 407-205-7427.
Slower, 407.
205-7427. 407-205-7427.
And presumably, they speak English as they're listening.
Yeah.
And Polish.
Yeah.
So they can be our translator.
Anyway, give us a call, send us a note, let us know where you heard of us from, and by all means, tell your friends. We need to, have more likes on Facebook, more listeners, more
everything.
So
everything.
help us out here, folks. Tell your friends.
You know, there was a note on ESPN.com that I sent you earlier in the week that I thought was interesting and wanted to share with the Knightline podcast listeners. And I don't know how many people saw this, that games against FBS independents BYU, Army, and Notre Dame will now count toward the SEC's requirement of playing one non-conference Power 5 team per season.
You know, I've thought about this for a long time, actually. We're kind of, last year probably would have been a better year, that we would have been in better position to go independent if we were going to go independent. I know we've been independent before.
Yeah, that didn't work out particularly well, though.
But it's different now.
It is different now.
It's different completely now. You'd have to have, some negotiations with ESPN or whoever, ABC, CBS, one of the networks, Fox, to play your games. And that's how these guys, get paid, basically, because they're not associated with one of the conferences. But if that makes them Power 5 teams that aren't in Power 5 leagues, then that's the option, I guess.
Yeah, I don't see that being the direction UCF goes, but it's interesting how BYU fashions itself this their Notre Dame-like in their national following. But it's the Army part that got thrown in there. Navy joins the AAC coming up in football in the upcoming football season. The stronger team would be Navy, but of course they're in the AAC, so they're not going to count, but they're going to count Army, though in the article it mentions that no SEC teams currently have any future games scheduled with Army.
And they probably won't.
No, I think they will.
They will now?
Oh, I think they will. I don't know how much it boosts their strength of schedule. BYU has quite a few games scheduled with SEC teams. Missouri, Mississippi State, LSU, and then Georgia plays Notre Dame in 2 future seasons.
Yeah.
It was just an interesting note about the way the Power 5 teams are rewriting the rules
Whole thing
to
is
benefit them.
It's a big mess. It is. If you're not in one of those leagues, and we've talked about what that takes to be in one of those leagues, and it's money. We've talked about that before. It takes a large endowment, which we don't have. It's going to make it very difficult for everybody.
But the league we're in, the American Athletic Conference, we need to dominate and in all sports. And it was a successful weekend for UCF baseball and softball. First, the number 7 UCF baseball team put up 18 runs to win the rubber match against Presbyterian Sunday. UCF now 20-5 on the season. A Tuesday game at Jacksonville, and then Houston comes to town. They were the preseason AAC favorites to win, and so that will open up AAC play. Quick note, I was out at Jay Bergman Field for this today, and the game was well out of hand by the 8th inning when a young kid was hit by a foul ball. And everything, ground to a halt, emergency personnel were called. I'll skip to he appeared to be fine and big applause. A lot of credit to both teams, the way they came together. Presbyterian's team immediately came together in their dugout and prayed for the kid and the family, and then UCF did that, and then one of the UCF players brought both teams together.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
It was a real nice show of support for the family.
Well, they're Presbyterians.
Head coach Terry Rooney immediately ran out to the berm area, and so many games I've been out there through the years, and so many foul balls, and you wonder when one of those
was that down the right field line?
Right field line.
Yeah, that little area.
Yeah. So, but much credit to the professionalism and the camaraderie of both schools for coming together,
and the emergency workers, of course.
Yes,
because those guys do a lot for us. They're awesome. What happened with softball this week, Trace?
How about Sunday, junior Shelby Turner tossed the second no-hitter of her career. UCF softball team number 20 defeated East Carolina. They beat them 3-0. The Knights improved to 29-5 on the season, 3-0 in the AAC with that sweep of East Carolina. That was up at Greenville. Senior Mackenzie Otis collected her 4th American Athletic Conference Pitcher of the Week recognition last week. Now listen to this one. Going into the weekend series, UCF's pitching staff boasted the lowest earned run average in Division I, posting a combined 1.00 ERA. That's going to be lower after the weekend sweep of East Carolina, which included the no-hitter.
How many no-hitters are there in softball? Is that more than baseball, less than baseball?
I don't know.
Because for one person to have 2 in her career, I think that's exciting.
7-inning game, so that may assist a little bit.
Yeah,
but strong start, best start really
There's
ever.
No co-ed softball,
no.
no hitters. So it's obviously must be pretty hard to do.
Much kudos to the UCF softball team.
Absolutely.
Opportunity this week to break a little news with the Knightline podcast. Able to throw up an extra on YouTube with the news that Kasey Wilson, who just wrapped things up for the UCF men's basketball team, inking a professional contract with the local team that a lot of people may not have heard of, the Florida Flight, and you had an opportunity to be in the mix on that one.
All right, I am here with Mark King, and he is the owner and head coach of the Florida Flight. There's some breaking news tonight. Kasey Wilson has joined the Florida Flight.
Yes, actually, we talked to Kasey today after speaking to Coach Donnie Jones. He gave me a good scoop on Kasey, and we've been looking at him for 2 years, actually, being here, and obviously we respect the UCF Knight program very much. So we're excited. He's going to fit in very well with what we do as a basketball club.
What made you want to go after Kasey Wilson?
Well, the funny thing is, and I don't think he remembered, I was in Walmart about 2 years ago. And we were in the music section, and I bumped into Kasey. And, as an owner and head coach of a pro team, anytime you see a guy that's 6'5 plus, you have to inquire. I always have a business card on hand, and I saw him, and I said, you know what? I asked him what he did. He said, I'm Kasey Wilson. I was like, okay. I had my smartphone. I looked him up right away, saw he was a junior, and I was like, okay, well, I told him about us, and, I don't think, he was receptive at the time, obviously. A lot of college kids aren't. They got their own problems. They got school. They got money problems usually. I bumped into him. I did some research on him. I saw he was a junior. I liked his size. From there, I had a couple of our staff, our coaching staff, check out games on TV. One of them attended one of the games and watched him. And we watched him grow. Good athlete, a solid guy. We're always in a shortage of bigs, as most teams are. But what I liked about Kasey most of all is he has some length. He's a stretch 4, as Coach Jones, and I kind of confirmed that for me today. He doesn't post a lot, but in our offensive system, we bring the bigs up at the top of the key, and his ability to shoot the ball very well and to put it on the floor a little bit really gives us an advantage, I think, against opposing teams, and it fits our offensive system very well.
All right, so Kasey Wilson, your first professional game. What do you think?
It was fun just to get out there, with some different guys and just, see what all this was about because I'm new to it as well. And it's crazy being a rookie, but, I'm enjoying it. It's a cool situation for me to be in right now since it's, right here in Orlando too. So I'm just happy to be here and play with some of these guys, and they're all good guys, so I'm enjoying it.
What do you think of the speed? Was it a little bit different?
Yeah, it was. I mean, because you got all professional athletes, and it's different than college.
Superstar.
Yeah, it's different than college, but I'm getting used to it. I took a week off just to get my legs right after the season, so it's just one of the things I got to get accustomed to, and I'm doing it.
So you've been a fan favorite at UCF. What's it been like to be a Knight?
It's been awesome. It was a really good situation for me for the last 4 years. I got shown love all the time, and everyone was just, awesome to me, and I really enjoyed it.
How has your game evolved over the years? Because now you're, you spent 4 years at UCF, and now you're here.
Yeah, I would say in high school I was more of a back-to-the-basket kind of guy. Then when I got UCF, Coach Jones really helped me polish my game.
What have you learned from UCF coach Donnie Jones about playing and life in general?
I would say Coach Jones is a really good people person. He wants to make sure his relationship with you is really what it seems to be, and he just taught me in life, just it's a marathon and not a sprint. And, you're not going to do everything you want to do in one night. And, it's not always going to be high and it's not, don't get too low. And that's one thing he's really taught me, and he's good at that. And also just on the court, just slow down, be more relaxed. And, when I was doing that, I think at UCF I played a lot better.
Yeah, you'll get your feet here. I think it just takes a little bit of time.
Oh, yeah, for sure, too. New system, new guys I've never played with. I haven't even practiced with them. So I was kind of the outcast. It's just because, I'm not used to this. And I think I'm meshing well because the guys seem really, generous and, team ball. So I'm cool with that.
If you could say anything to the UCF fan.
Thank you for everything over these last 4 years of my life. Thank you for the support, and it really, really means a lot to me. And these are memories that I'll be able to take with me, forever, and I won't forget.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Good opportunity to extend the career for Kasey Wilson, and we've been a fan of his on the Knightline podcast, having spoken to him recently with the AAC season and the night season, so we wish him all the best with the Florida Flight.
Yeah, you can go to flighthoops.com and get more information on the Florida Flight, and also I will have an extended interview with Coach Mark King, and I'll put that up on YouTube.
That's good. When we last spoke about the men's basketball team, they had bowed out to East Carolina. SMU would go on to win the AAC regular season, and then, of course, the NCAA tournament has begun. You, on this very program last week, said deep run for the SMU Mustangs. The number 6 seed SMU Mustangs bowed out in the first round, losing 60-59 to number 11 seed UCLA. On a more positive note, number 8 seed Cincinnati knocked off Purdue in the first round. Of course, they ran into a little buzzsaw called the Kentucky Wildcats. They lost Saturday 64-51. NIT tournament, UConn out, Temple, Tulsa, live on.
Yeah, the whole SMU thing, I really thought that they would go a little bit farther, and, there was a very, very strange call at the end of that game. It should have gone into overtime, to be honest with you, and then maybe they would have had a chance. So, I don't know. It was weird. Larry Brown said it was one of the weirdest things that he's ever witnessed at the end of a basketball game.
And that's saying something, because that gentleman has coached for a while.
Absolutely. So, I may have been right. I'm trying to...
That's an asterisk on a prediction.
Trying to make it sound like I was right.
You are always right, Andrew.
Of course I am.
Let's cut that out. Edit that. Some UCF news and notes. Former UCF men's soccer player Deshaun Brown transferred to Vålerenga in Norway. I hope that I'm pronouncing that properly. He'd been with the Colorado Rapids of the MLS. I got to see him score a goal for the Rapids while visiting my sister and family out in Denver. We went and saw a Rapids game, and he scored. Men's soccer team, UCF, began their spring schedule. 1-0 win over Florida Tech Friday in a scrimmage.
4 nation-leading performances highlighted the UCF track and field team's outdoor season opener on its home track Saturday at the Black and Gold Challenge. The Knights defeated 7 other scoring teams to win the event. The UCF rowing team collected 6 first-place finishes at the 2015 Governor's Cup at Canal 54 in Fellsmore, Florida.
The UCF women's tennis team bounced back from a loss to Tulsa earlier in the week with a 6-1 win against Temple Saturday afternoon at the UCF Tennis Complex. And the UCF volleyball team opened the 2015 spring schedule Saturday with an all-day tournament at the venue at UCF.
A solid third round moved UCF men's golf up 2 spots on the team leaderboard as the Knights finished tied for 10th at the Schninkel Invitational in Statesboro, Georgia. The UCF men's tennis team extended its win streak to 4 matches with a 5-2 win over Florida A&M at the UCF Tennis Complex Saturday morning. All right, next week we have Tyler Hudanik coming up, and who knows what else. Well, I'm sure we'll find all kinds of stuff.
Spring practice continuing for UCF. Give it an opportunity to talk about that. That'll be the second week for spring practice.
All right, this has been Andrew Phegley.
This is Trace Trylko.
And this has been episode number 35 of the UCF Knightline podcast.
Go Knights!
Charge on.
UCF, charge on to the field. With our spirits, we'll never yield. Black and gold charge right through the line. Victory is